Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Major League Baseball will be announcing the starting lineups for Cleveland's All-Star Game a week from Tuesday at 7 o'clock tonight. I'm not going out on too big of a limb if I say Carlos-Santana will be the American League starter at first base, because when the voting closed at 4 p.m. this afternoon, he had over 49% of the vote, and the rest was split among the other two candidates. I also believe the closer Brad Hand will be selected for the squad, and Francisco Lindor will get the commissioner's designation, putting 3 Indians players on the All-Star team. I just don't see it any other way. We'll see how the D-man Dennis-Manoloff looks at it. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Thursday night. It's the last night of the live shows this week. More Sports and Les-Levine exclusively on cleveland.com. And, of course, the D-man, because it's Thursday night. Dennis-Manoloff is with us. Have you gotten over the high of last week when Rocky Colavito actually called you the D-man?
Not yet. I'm still floating, even though I'm. It looks like I'm sitting.
The man who named Dr. Smooth, was all shook up because The Rock called him the D-man.
It's an honor and a privilege just to speak with him. And as we said last week, we could have talked with him for hours. And we're not the only ones who could do that. But
you know, I've heard over the years what a surly guy he's been or has been. He couldn't have been better last week.
He was awesome.
Yeah. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. We got an interesting email today, D-man, from Ron.
Okay.
He's talking about last night. We talked about Nate Wallach. Did you ever work with him with the Browns? He was the PR director for the Browns in the 60s and 50s and into the 70s.
Don't remember.
Told a story about him, and I got an email from Ron Hart. It says, your story on Wednesday brought back memories about Nate Wallach. My father worked for the ad agency that handled the advertising for the Indians, and he spoke quite often about him at the dinner table. I enjoy your show very much. I live in Carlsbad near San Diego, and I watch the Tribe games on MLB.com. The interesting thing about that, I don't know what the odds are. As you know, Brian, who makes this show what it is, went on his honeymoon last week to Carlsbad, California.
Wow.
You get an email from Carlsbad, California.
Yes.
What are the odds of that?
Congratulations to Brian, of course.
Yeah. Well, he's still got to work. He can't retire right now. 216-575-0403. All right, I went out on a limb and I said Carlos will be the starter at first base. Francisco Lindor and Brad Hand will be named to the team. Agree or disagree?
I agree with you. We heard that the voting announcements will begin at 7. So even if we were to hang on for a couple extra minutes, you know that the Carlos announcement wouldn't come till, 7:30 or whatever.
Right.
But who knows? It looks like Carlos is going to fend off Voit and who was the other?
Crone,
the other one? Crone, yeah. And that's good. There's your numbers.
All right, now
of the 3.
this is as of before today's action because Crone is playing in a game today. They're finishing off. They got a getaway,
series,
getaway game against Tampa Bay in Minnesota. That game is tied at 2 in extra innings. But you see how close those are. So shockingly close. Carlos got on base more. His on-base percentage would be higher because of all the walks that he gets. But you can't make a big argument 1, 2, or 3 here.
Good point. And Carlos, is obviously the hometown hero, if you will. But he's earned it, and he's also been a pretty good two-way player. I mean, he's never going to be a Gold Glover, but I think he's played pretty darn well defensively, all things considered.
He was a disaster when he first started, but he turned out worked hard.
Remember when he was at third base for a little while?
And then
volunteered
left field and all that. So it looks like Carlos-Santana will be the one. Aaron Judge is getting some votes because he's New York, but he hasn't played much of the year. But speaking of him, Adam from our crack staff came up with a stat that is unbelievable.
It is.
The late Tony Gwynn, one of the greatest hitters ever. There you see Tony Gwynn in 20 seasons.
Take a picture of that graphic. It might be one of the most
20
hilarious
seasons
graphics
for
you
Gwynn,
ever see.
4 for Judge, and strikeouts, 434 for Tony Gwynn and 434 for Aaron Judge. That is. I don't even know where you begin to find that stat. So, like did Adam say? I think I'll look at how many stats Aaron Judge has, and then I'll go down the list and see how many Tony Gwynn had. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you're not just talking about different eras, because now strikeouts are not, mocked, or you don't feel bad when you strike out. But Gwynn, he was an anomaly even in the era when it wasn't fashionable.
You mean about less strikeouts?
Yeah.
All right, here's the other thing. In today's day and age where they have the shift on and everything,
yes.
I mean, Tony Gwynn hit many of his balls to the same place, so they'd have the shift on him. But in about 3 days, he'd have it figured out how to beat the shift.
Yeah, and also, Les, I remember Gwynn as being able to go foul line to foul line, much like Rod Carew. So, yeah, those two guys wouldn't necessarily thrive in the exit velocity categories, as far as I can remember.
No, but they beat the shift.
But they were magicians with the bat, and they could place balls where hitters or fielders weren't. So
you put the third baseman in the shortstop position, and Carew will bunt all day long and get doubles on them.
Yeah, you couldn't. I can't imagine you could shift against Gwynn or Carew in any situation.
All right, we got lots to talk about, the Cavaliers and also the Cleveland Browns, but let's stay on the Cavaliers right now. I'm sorry, about the Indians right now. They lost. They won 2 out of 3 from Kansas City. Lost a tough one the other night. His hand. I guess we were expecting it, right? Gave up 5 runs.
Yeah, I mean, he's entitled to a couple of clunkers along the way. The important thing is how they responded. The next day, afternoon, after getting punched in the gut the previous night, they come out and win behind Bauer's 12 strikeouts, albeit I think it was 127 pitches.
I'll tell you what, I sent a text to a friend of mine after the second inning, and I said, Bauer's got no-hit stuff today.
Well,
I mean, that's tough to predict.
You know what, Les? I sure hope he does against the Kansas Cities and the Detroits.
Yeah,
okay?
Right, he should.
Having said that, those teams are on the schedule, and I've been the one saying that the Indians need to beat them, and not only that, they don't need to apologize when they beat them. Just because they're bad doesn't mean you should worry about it. I'll say this, yesterday was a very important game, in my opinion, because you do not want to lose series to anybody at this stage, let alone a bad team like Kansas City, rebuilding but still bad. And it would have been 2 losses in a row, then an off day.
Travel.
And granted, you're playing another cupcake in Baltimore this weekend, but you'd be sitting on 2 losses. You're still thinking about the blown lead in the ninth,
2 losses
the previous
could become
night.
3.
Yeah, and one of the hallmarks of Terry Francona in his time with the Indians is they limit the losing streaks, or they limit the bad games. They isolate them, and they don't let them fester.
Great point.
Generally, that's what it's been with Francona since he's come here.
Great point. All right, so Minnesota comes from behind last night to win a game. I was checking the score, and I said, all right, well, the Indians will gain another a game today, but it didn't happen that way. What do you think? 8 games out. What do you think?
I mean, a couple weeks ago, I was
8.5 games.
There's no way. It's too much of a deficit to overcome. I still believe the Central is going to belong to Minnesota this year. However, there is an opening. I think Cleveland has an opening. We have to remember that for all the wins that the Indians get over, for example, Detroit and Kansas City, the Twins get to play them as well. So it's not just the Indians playing one team that the Twins don't get to play.
On the stretch, down the rest of the way,
yes,
the Indians will play the Indians will play Detroit and Minnesota 26 times.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how many times Minnesota plays Kansas City
right.
and Detroit, but yeah, they get to look at Minnesota, who's in front of them. The schedule extremely favorable heading into the break. Then you come out of the break with a showdown series against the Twins. Then you have the cupcakes again. I don't remember exactly what order, but there's a section of schedule here that, in all honesty, began. You would have thought it began after the Twins-Yankees series,
right?
But the Indians wind up going 4-2 in those two series
and
combined.
what's happened they've in those 7 series you're talking about, they split 2 of them and they won 5 of them.
Yeah, and that's why yesterday was so important. You did not want to have a lost series on your ledger, and you know how Francona thinks about series. He's all
Just
about
winning.
series. He's not about the individual games as much as the series. And so it was important to get 2 out of 3, go into the off day with some momentum. If I'm an Indians fan, I'm excited about this team because not only is their record getting better and looking better, they feel like more of a legitimate wild card contender.
They're starting to hit.
Certain guys are starting to percolate. Kipnis is more than percolating.
Right, he's on fire.
Ramirez looks like he's swinging the bat better.
Yeah.
And has a better approach. If you could get Ramirez and Kipnis going to supplement the Lindors and the Santanas, and oh, by the way, a guy who shocked the heck out of me, Roberto Perez. I mean, I was sitting there going, really? You're gonna give away Gomes on a salary dump? You're gonna trust Roberto Perez to play, I don't know, 75% of the games?
Yeah. And he's an automatic double play ball.
He's got 14 bombs.
Yeah.
And he's got, I think it's 820 or 830 OPS.
Well, we're going to see if he can last the whole season. That'll be
yeah.
interesting to watch. All right, 216-575-0403. Do you have any idea what J.R. Smith is still doing on this team or what they do with him? I've given up trying to figure out the rules here involved. Do you know any of them?
Even though Brian is newly married, and we congratulate him for that, I'm mad at him because he gave me a headache when he said that one of your assignments is to try to figure out the J.R. Smith situation. So naturally, I go to our friend Chris Fedor, and I was reading his story about how the Cavs reportedly had tried to, they turned down at least one offer on J.R. on draft night. From what I can gather, and this to me is like the Pythagorean theorem trying to figure it out, they don't want to move Smith if it means what has to come back on the NBA mandated money dollar for dollar type exchange would cause their payroll to go over the luxury tax. Then they would be a repeat offender on the luxury tax front.
And you don't want to do that. Why waste it on J.R. Smith?
Well, why waste it on what they would get back? I guess one of the offers for them on draft night was a late first-round pick. Is that really worth going over the threshold? They wind up getting the late first-round pick in a trade. It was Porter Jr., but it went to Milwaukee, and it didn't involve J.R. Smith. So they got what they wanted without having to go over the luxury tax threshold. Now, that doesn't mean he still can't be traded, Smith, or, obviously he gets released. All
right, we'll talk about that and more when we get back. Dennis Manoloff, the D-Man, is here. More Sports and Les-Levine continues. Northfield Park is your place for live and simulcast racing. And you got that live racing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as well as Saturday. That's at Northfield Park. And there you see the dates where that takes place. It's open early every day for simulcast action from all around the world. Best harness and trotters, all there. And pacers at Northfield Park. They open at noon early each and every day for simulcast action. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. We'll come back in a moment with the D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
D-Man, we got the birthdays for the day. June 27th, Sid Down, 1947. Chuck Person, Jeff Conine, Jim Edmonds, he's in trouble lately. Julius Thomas and Abe Almonte.
Dishonest Abe.
Dishonest Abe. But not only do you get an 81-game suspension, but you also don't get to take part in the postseason. How come quickie time? How come gas prices go up when there's a storm in the ocean, but on a perfect day like today, the prices stay exactly the same, or they even go up? Explain that for me, D-Man.
Nice.
Can't explain it, can you?
That's why it's a how come quickie.
Yeah, I guess. All right, let's run this by again. According to Chris Fedor, then can they trade J.R. Smith at any point along the way here?
What's the deadline? Sunday, is it? I think this is Brian helping us to figure this out. I think there's a deadline.
Oh, the June 30th is the deadline. Smith's contract has a partial value, a guarantee of $3.8 million if he's waived before June 30th. After June 30th, the contract becomes fully guaranteed at $15.6 million, and waiving Smith before June 30th would save the team $11.8 million in cap room. This is one of the legacies of LeBron James,
sure.
Right?
Because
he forced them into it.
The price of a title,
yeah.
Sure. JR's.
Well, but it was after the title. I think the deal was made after the title.
Oh, all right. I thought.
No, maybe not.
I thought it was part of the whole Smith, got to bring back
Tristan.
Smith and Thompson situations.
Yeah.
But it is, it's part of the legacy, I guess. But listen, I know that JR pulled one of the epic tanks last year, didn't play, and they sent him home and all that stuff. But I'm always going to remember J.R. Smith for the title, and specifically for Game 7, those 2 threes that kept the Cavs connected to the Warriors.
Right, striking distance.
Because if he doesn't make those, who knows what happens.
All right, so he's going to be in the celebrity softball
He
game.
finds his way onto the field for the celebrity softball
so
game.
do you think he'll get booed or do you think he'll get cheered?
Oh, he'll get cheered. I mean, it's...
He was so lovable.
Yeah.
Although he wasn't so lovable when he got the rebound in Game 1 against Golden State.
Right, but
Forgot
people are
the
going to
score.
remember him for 2015-16, specifically the summer of 16, okay? He'll be remembered fondly. It is interesting that he can figure out a way to get on the field for the celebrity softball game and not the Cavs.
I bet you he can play very well. I mean, I've seen him golf, or I've seen him take golf shots. He looks pretty good.
Yeah, and speaking of USA or Cleveland versus the world softball, initially I had my doubts that they were going to put together or going to be able to put together a solid roster of participants. And I wasn't the only
celebrities?
Well, yeah. There were some
I've only
people,
heard of 11 out of the 25.
Well, the ones you've heard of are
I'm not the right
legit.
demographic.
I mean, listen, I like the group that they put together, and I think that there's a lot of solid names on there. It's better than I thought it was going to be. There were some people inside the Indians organization that were wondering about this very event.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, over the last couple of weeks, I mean, Curtis Danberg told me last night on WTAM on the show that Joe Thomas is probable.
Oh, is that right?
How about he thinks Thomas is going to get
Travis
there.
Kelce
Travis Kelce
is in it, and he was on
Miocic.
Okay, but Travis was on Baskin and Phelps today, and he played in a game when he played for Cleveland Heights. He played in a game at what was then Jacobs Field. He said he hit one to the wall, off the wall, in a game.
That wouldn't surprise me.
No, it wouldn't surprise me.
I mean,
no.
these
He's
guys.
a hockey player.
Yeah, I mean, but you think about the Miz, you know, satisfying the WWE contingent. You've got Stipe. You have Simone Biles, who's, I want to say, the greatest gymnast of all time, given her credentials.
Yep.
Jenny Finch, the legendary softball player. Our own Allie LaForce. You've got the actor from Avengers, Mackie. You have The Miz, as I said, Stipe. You've got Ryan Howard coming in. I'm not sure what his connection is. But, yeah, I mean, it looks like a good group. I would have thought Michael Simon would have been on there.
Oh.
But I didn't see him in the.
I didn't see him on the list either.
On the list, yeah. I would have thought he would have been because he's Cleveland through and through.
Right.
But
right.
Anyway, part of a wonderful 5 days that are shaping up.
Yeah.
You know, as
looking
far as
forward to it.
All-Star.
No question about that. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. And the D-man, Dennis-Manoloff, is with us. We're going to hear from Greedy Williams, Browns defensive back. When we come back, 216-575-0403. Don't forget, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content posted each and every day. We'll check out some of the email responses to that and more when we get back. We'll hear from Greedy Williams and more. More Sports and Les Levine exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
My basement was a disaster. We tried carpet, we tried tile on our uneven basement floor, but nothing worked.
Moisture, dampness, even flooding will not harm Nature Stone. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of June and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Always, think about stuff ahead and, and just try to work towards that goal. And like I said, I got to get through this first season and, hopefully, things will stand out for me like I wanted to go. But till then, I'm just, ready to get through this first season, and have fun with it.
We haven't talked to you about signing your contract.
Yeah.
Now, I know you talked about leaving LSU to provide for your family.
Yeah.
What was that like when you finally got to sign the contract?
It was a great experience. It was hard though, because after I signed, my grandma was sick, and when I signed, later that night, I got a phone call. She passed away. So, it was hard, but I know she was smiling down on me, knowing that I finally accomplished one of my goals, and a dream come true. And I know she's sitting in the sky, just smiling big for me, and it was a tough moment, but it's always rememberable.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
A dream come true, and also a loss.
Right. So it was a lot of emotion going on throughout that day. Then, just going back home, just hugging on my family, and everybody just cheering me back up, just to come back out here and be great for her.
What was her name?
Irma Williams.
Mm-hmm.
You just went over this a little bit, but what impact is it going to have on you to go against the Odells and the Jarvises? And I know Jarvis, you didn't practice against him yet, but you didn't seem the moment wasn't too big for you. You didn't seem overwhelmed by that in any way. How's that going to impact you getting ready for this season?
Like I said, just going against top guys, Juice, Odell, you got Callaway, you got high-tier guys, and, that's just making my game a lot better. Just matching the speed of, how fast receivers really going to be in the game. And, with them guys, they just critiquing me, and just trying to, break every weak spot that I have, just to make it visible on film, and I go in film room and fix it. So, it's a definitely upper hand for me, and, it give me a great opportunity, just to, do great against great receivers and when the time comes.
So it's almost verbal as much as it is the physical stuff with them talking to you about things?
Oh, yeah, them just finding my weakness, I see he weak right here, so we're going to attack this. And me and my coach will go in and fix the weak spot and come back out and try to find another weak spot. And so it's just like an ongoing machine, man. Just got to keep finding the things that you need to fix to be ready for the season.
And he didn't talk about going to the Hall of Fame.
Well, you know what, though? I like what I've heard from Greedy
Me
Williams,
too.
and I like what I've seen in the limited stuff we've been able to see out of the the OTAs and the mandatory mini.
Here's the other thing. You don't think about this. You just think about the players. Here's a kid looking to the NFL his entire life, and all of a sudden he signs a contract that day, and that night he gets a call that his grandmother died.
Yeah.
It's almost not fair.
No, you're absolutely right. It's tragic. But listen, not only Greedy Williams, but this rookie crop that they brought in certainly looks and sounds the part. You hear Taki talk. I mean, I could listen to him for hours. Redwine, the safety out of Miami.
Yeah, we had him on
I've
last
interviewed
night.
him once on TAM. Wilson, the linebacker from Alabama. I like what I've seen from and heard from this crop.
All right, so last year especially, and maybe the year before, I hadn't recalled how any camp that has been as quiet as the Browns camps were the last couple of years. Did you get that same sense?
Pretty much.
Okay, because you're going 1-31, and there's nothing to be excited about.
And we didn't know about Baker,
Correct.
at the outset of camp last year.
But this year, there's going to be an excitement level that we haven't seen since the Browns came back in ~99.
Correct. And what did they sell out the first wave?
They did. And by the way, I mentioned
blink.
that how can they charge for practice? It's all going to Browns charity, so it's okay.
And people will be willing to pay. I wonder how it's going to work in terms of the mass of humanity that's going to want to see this. How on that little slice of land there, how are they going to do this? I know you have the shuttle buses and everything else.
What do you guess? 5,000 people it'll fit a day? Or is that too high?
I mean, I don't know, Les. It doesn't seem like 5,000 could be accommodated there, but maybe they figured out ways. It'll be packed. I can't imagine it not being packed any day other than if there's a terrible weather day.
Yeah, well, I think it's great. The excitement is back. And remember, 2-3 years ago, they were talking about moving the camp to Columbus, and this is the exact reason why you don't do that.
Correct. This is a payoff for the long-starved Browns fans to finally get a camp that has so much optimism, so much to look forward to.
Well, the front office was talking about, they want to build a new market in Columbus. You got to rebuild your market here in Cleveland before you go outside the line.
Great point, and that's, by sort of a segue for me to the whole, the MLB's going to London with the Yankees and the Red Sox, to which I say, why? What's the point? I don't understand why.
What don't you understand? The Yankees and Red Sox are doing it at all.
Anybody. Why does any team in the
pastime.
major leagues have to leave the North American continent?
Well, I know why.
Meaning United States or
because
Canada.
football did it and basketball did it, so they're following suit. But baseball doesn't need to do that.
Right there, but there's so much that baseball could do to help itself in this country. It doesn't need to be running over to London to play games. How about you work on, inner city baseball, which has been so often discussed as a problem.
If the Indians were going, one of the teams going, I would not be happy at all, because as they're trying to make a run for the division, I don't want them stopping and taking a 6-hour flight over to Wembley Stadium. Do you?
No. And listen.
I don't care if it gets built up over Europe.
True, I agree, and that's the thing. It's like the MLB has talked openly about the problems of inner city. They need to get the inner city baseball going again.
Absolutely.
They also need to get youth baseball back up to a high level again.
And how about wiring all the way down the left and right field line?
Well, there you go. Not
that
just
poor girl in
not just
Houston.
participation less, but youngsters need to be engaged in what's happening at the major league level.
You know why they won't? You got all these new things, whip and WAR and on-base percentage and all that stuff. Batting averages are tough enough, let alone how many homers and RBIs. I don't think that there's a 15-year-old kid out there who's attracted to baseball because of all these new statistics.
Okay. One of my points has always been that youngsters don't really have baseball cards to go to anymore.
True.
I believe that passion that you and I enjoyed so much as kids.
What, they don't sell them in the stores anymore?
Was ruined. Well, they do in certain places, but they're not what it's not what it once was. Baseball card collecting is not what it is. Nowhere near what it once was.
With terrible gum.
Well, yeah, you used to love the tops with the terrible gum, but the point is, you may laugh and say, well, what difference does it make whether there's baseball cards or not? The difference is, when we were kids, how did we know these players so well? We knew them by their baseball cards. We could tell their stances. We memorized their stats on the back. The youngsters today who don't have baseball cards, among other things, but I say one of the reasons why youngsters aren't as engaged in MLB is because that card collecting has kind of gone.
And you know what else I'd like to see?
Boards.
If I'm driving down the street, I'd like to see some kid on a bike with his baseball glove over the handlebars. I don't recall. I bet it's 30, 40 years since I last saw that.
Well, true, and let me, lest I be accused of get off my lawn, I was, my stepson plays, Denise's son plays at a high level of travel baseball, and I was just at a complex that had 8 fields, and they were jammed with all ages of groups and
nice.
Youngsters,
what city?
Boys, girls. It was Broadview Heights.
Okay.
Called the fields. So I'm not saying that youth baseball participation is necessarily dead. I'm saying that youngsters need to lock in more to what's happening in the majors.
And understand
so that the younger generation can watch the games on TV and go to the games at the ballpark.
That's a great point. I'd like the kids to understand what parts of the game are important and learn the game itself. I'd like to find out, not only would I like to see a kid riding a bike with the glove over the handlebar, I'd like to be in a car with a 15-year-old kid saying, hey, can you turn the Indians game on? I wonder if that I don't think it happens.
Right, and I don't know. I mean, you might want to do that for Tom Hamilton, of course, but you think about stuff as simple as scorecards or scorebooks. You say, well, that's antiquated. Well, I wish it weren't, because when we were watching games, we would go to great lengths to fill out our scorecard or our scorebook that had the card in it. And what would happen with my dad, at least, and I know with a lot of other dads, when he would drive us back home, we would go over the game via our scorecard.
Right, so
and we would discuss at-bats.
Yeah.
We would talk about where pitches were thrown. And nowadays, you don't see the games being scored anymore.
My wife still scores.
In the stands.
My wife still scores games. And one day I'm looking at it, and she had Carlos-Santana, and she had WW. And I looked at her and I said, now wait a minute. WW, let's see, BB is base on balls, and W is a walk. What's WW? And she said, wasn't watching.
Wow. That's good.
Thank you. 216-575-0403. We also have the voicemail of Truth and Reason. If you can't get in when we do the show live, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, you can call us anytime to leave a message, 216-200-6650, 216-200-6650. When we come back, we'll take a look at what Las Vegas says about who might be the MVP of the NFL in 2019. You might be surprised by some of their choices. Back in a moment with D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff, exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. D-Man, I covered this game. 1939, the Indians host their first night game at Municipal Stadium, beating the Detroit Tigers 5-0. Hey, when you have absolutely nothing to do, and that's how I found this out myself, I went through the history since, I think about 1930, that except for maybe 1 year to now, the Indians and Tigers have never been good or bad together at the same time since 1930. It's incredible. They finished like at least 10 games behind each other over all these years. I don't know how that's possible. The 2019 MVP NFL odds are out. Westgate, Las Vegas, Superbook. Let's see what they have to say. Patrick Mahomes at 4-1. Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck at 8-1. I would go with Andrew Luck because I think their team's going to be improved and he's better. Carson Wentz and Drew Brees at 10-1. Tom Brady's still up there, 12-1. Phillip Rivers, Russell Wilson, all quarterbacks, 14-1 there. Baker-Myfield, Ben Roethlisberger, and Matt Ryan at 25-1. Then you've got Odell-Beckham along with Chubb and Myles-Garrett at 100-1.
I mean, a couple surprises there. Rodgers so high and Wentz so high.
How about Brady so high?
Oh, I mean...
Yeah, but the offense is going to change. It's going to be more of a running game.
Yeah, but Brady's
Brady.
He's such a great player. He has to be listed as a front runner as long as he plays. But Rodgers, we know he's incredibly gifted, incredibly talented, but it's a whole new system, a new coach. There was turmoil off-season-wise. So I wonder how that's going to go. And Wentz... right now, to me, is an unproven commodity given the injury situation. You know, he's had now 2 years' worth of injuries that he's got to deal with.
And so is Luck.
Luck, indeed. Yeah, and you could say Luck is a little bit of a wild. But at least Luck showed me more because Wentz didn't show me anything. Wentz showed me more at the end of last year Luck showed me more than Wentz.
You know, everybody assumes the Browns are going to be the special team, the secret team, the one that's going to do more than they're expected to do, although the hype is getting out there. I look at Indianapolis as being a team like that.
I like Indy a lot. Frank Reich did a heck of a job his first year. They rebounded from being jilted by McDaniels, and yes, they look good. I think people are dumping on the Houston Texans a little too easily. I just remember how the Texans manhandled Baker-Mayfield and the Browns last year in Houston. Of course, the Patriots will be there. I don't see anything else out of the East. You've got the Steelers and the Ravens that are going to be formidable, I believe, even though the Steelers lost key pieces, as did the Ravens. I still think they're going to be all right. And then out west, what do you have? Who knows what's going to happen? Well, the Chiefs, of course.
Sure.
I mean, they're the class of that division, and who knows what the Raiders might be capable of.
That's that's a slippery slope because the intended move to Las Vegas, and you don't know how that'll backfire on them. If it will.
The Chargers are really good. I shouldn't have just thrown them in. They're really good.
216-575-0403. Any idea where I went to lunch today?
It's got to be Sokolowski's.
Got to be. If it's Thursday, it must be Belgium. No, it must be Sokolowski's University. And took my son there. Had stalking opportunities with a guy we call Tebow and Mike, the sports professional. They were all there, and my son had the Salisbury steak. And I said, "Oh, they've something new on the menu. They've had it every day since 1923." That's his go. Do you have restaurants where you got a go-to menu item?
I used to, yes.
You used to? Not anymore? All right. Sokolowski's University and located in Tremont, 5 minutes out of downtown. Take the Abbey Avenue exit. That's where you're going to find it. Right under the bridge, you'll find it. Mike and Burry, the Sokolowski's, University Inn. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of your responses. Our Facebook question of the day comes your way in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues with the D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff, exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at nick-chubb.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Let's look at this date in Les-Levine history. Les and his brother Billy host the first night wiffle ball game at Chavez-Levine. That's kind of amazing because Chavez-Ravine didn't open in Los Angeles until 1962. So I'm charging them with stealing my name.
Copyright infringement.
There must be some patent on that. Let's take a look at This Week in Review, since it's our last live show of the week. This took place in 1964. Les got hurt in a game and had to miss another game. 2 days later, his Brush teammates sent him a card telling him to hurry up and get better by a vote of 9-7. Let's look at this one. 1983, Les coached his son's 9-year-old softball team. The 8th batter, or his parents, were a little upset that the kid was batting so low in the lineup. Les explained it was a very new position called second cleanup. And believe it or not, they fell for it. Then we go to this date in 1983. This is later. While doing sports talk, Les received a call from a guy who said, "Why don't you do the right thing like Muhammad Ali and retire at the age of 37?
Thank goodness you didn't.
No kidding. I could retire today.
Please
if I don't buy anything ever. 216-575-0403. We talked about the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Let's listen to what Ron had to say about that.
Hi, Les. This is Ron Byer. I know your true love in sports is baseball because baseball has become more home runs or strikeouts, and because of the traditional way of playing baseball no longer exists. Has that made your love for baseball decline in the past few years?
It's a great question.
And D-Man, since you're from a younger generation, what's your feeling on this subject?
What do you think?
I still love the game, but I hear the point. It's not as fun to watch a game these days, given the emphasis on home runs and the acceptance of strikeouts. There is fewer action on the bases. Bunting is frowned upon. And I'm not saying the numbers don't back up the reasons for this, for sitting and spinning and trying to hit a 3-run homer or drawing the walk or not trying to go first to third or not trying to bunt a guy over. But
or with the man
I'm
on
simply
second
saying,
hit a ground ball to the right side?
Yeah, give yourself up to get a runner over. I still think there's value in small ball. As long as you're judicious about it, it's okay. But I think there's too much big ball, not enough action And to a degree, it is a more boring product than it used to be.
You know what I've starting to notice a little bit? One of my biggest complaints about coverage of baseball on TV is that 99% of the pitches they show are from behind the pitcher. And you don't, sometimes if there's a ground ball, the announcer knows there's a shift on it, it's a routine ground ball, but you don't know it because you don't know where the players are. I'm starting to see a little bit more coverage of pitches from behind home plate as opposed to behind from the bleachers, and
Yeah.
I applaud that move.
And speaking of pitching, Les, Major League Baseball has got to make a decision. Yes, home runs look great on TV, but if you want to bring it back into a little bit of a balance, all you need to do is raise the seams on a Major League Baseball a 16th of an inch.
They're doing it the different way. A former Major League player told me that they're doing something to the ball to make it go further.
Well,
and
yeah,
this
it's
guy's
a cue ball.
Well, and he's afraid that a pitcher's going to take one and get killed.
I mean, that's the thing. You look at the exit velocities, and it's exciting to watch a long home run, but the pitchers have got to have a fighting chance in this. And I think you have, and I don't have any science to back this up, but I'm trying to use my brain. If you have a higher seam by even a 16th of an inch,
right,
the pitcher will have a better grip on his curveball, on his breaking stuff, and therefore it will be a better pitch, which will stand to be more effective against the hitter. Now you could say, well, it'll strike out more guys. Perhaps. But it will at least give the pitchers some of their turf back that they've had to give up because they're throwing cue balls.
You know, pitchers are going to also have to learn that they don't have to go to an 8-pitch at bat to try to get that strikeout. Do something to make the guy hit the ball on a 1 and 2 count.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a few pitchers more than a few over the years, and they have said that the most recent versions, not specifically 2019, but the most recent versions of the MLB ball are slick. They are. They're like cue balls.
Well,
and you look at them, and the seams are not very high.
Right.
And the drag is less, and therefore when you hit it, it's going to shoot through the air
And the
easier.
coaches are now wearing the helmets, but you're never going to get a pitcher to wear the helmet.
No, I think the
because
worst you got
during the
are
motion, they're worried about the helmet coming over their eyes.
Right. The most extreme you got was the padded sides and
Exactly.
the padded under the bill.
All right, when we get back, we'll take a look at the Facebook question of the day and your responses, and we'll check in on some emails and other quickies that have come in. More Sports and Les-Levine continues in a moment, but first let's take a look at the Facebook question of the day. Does it bother you that America's national pastime is taking one of the marquee series to London this weekend? That's the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. I don't like it one bit. I mean, I couldn't care less about Boston or New York. I just think it's bad for baseball fans. Gerard Morelli says, football they play once a week, that's okay, but baseball plays at least 5 games a week. How do they play these games and then fly back a day later? Good question. Glenn Bergers is very definitely these two storied franchises play in the American League, not the European League. Gary Halloway, no, they need to do whatever is possible to bring back interest in baseball here or abroad. Rick May says, granted, both of the fan bases will not be happy about this, but maybe this is our way of apologizing for sending the Jacksonville Jaguars and Tennessee Titans over to England year after year. Could very well be. Solid.
All
exactly.
of them.
Northfield Park, catch the excitement of live harness racing. Catch that Sunday through Wednesday, as well as a Sunday, or make that as well as Saturday. That's at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day, and Sunday seminars on handicapping. You got a chance to win the grand prize of $500 cash each and every week. Back in a moment, one more time with the D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff, exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
My basement was a disaster. We tried carpet, we tried tile on our uneven basement floor, but nothing worked.
Moisture, dampness, even flooding will not harm Nature Stone. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of June and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Don't forget, you can follow us on Facebook, ms&ll on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. For those of you who don't know, we are heard and seen live worldwide from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. And then you, of course, can download us any other time. You can, what's the word I'm looking for? Help me. Somebody help me. Archive. There you go. Thank you. I got it on my own that time.
Sorry about that.
You can archive us 23 other hours a day and go back in history and find us all the way back to our days at Chavez-Levine. No, that's not true at all. How come Quickie sent in by Toledo Mike? How come my interview at the fire hydrant factory was canceled when I couldn't find a parking space? Can't park where there's a hydrant. You know that. Mr. Gullible is moving up on the outside as maybe challenging John Patrick for top quickier of the week rather. Mr. Gullible says, "How come I'm getting rid of my vacuum cleaner because it's just collecting dust?"
I've heard that one before, actually.
Well, I hope you heard most of these.
But it's good.
How come kids who are afraid of Santa are called claustrophobic?
Had not heard that one.
There you go. John Patrick with his daily double. How come when I told my psychiatrist everybody thinks I'm a liar, he said, "I don't believe it"? How come I'm getting so forgetful? Yesterday I forgot the Alamo. Divorced husbands, remember the Alamo. No. That's terrible. I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize for that. It is funny though. Let's go to the phones. BP is standing by in Pepper Pike. I'm just guessing he wants to talk some basketball. Hello, BP.
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm actually not in Pepper Pike. I'm driving back from Virginia.
Well, how am I supposed to know?
I'm listening to you guys in the car.
How am I supposed to know that? They say it's BP in Pepper Pike.
Yeah, they lied. But I actually had a good fortune of I had a meeting down near Virginia Tech University, so I stopped in. Being the sports fan that I am, I stopped into their sports complex, and it was really cool. They have a huge, like a football shrine to their team, and I didn't realize how many ex-Browns played for Virginia Tech.
Like
it
who?
actually was really cool.
Like who?
That's why I'm calling you. Can you or D-Man name any ex-Browns that played for Virginia Tech over the years?
I don't think I can.
One of them is on the tip of my tongue, but I can't.
Saliva.
I cannot recall.
No.
All right, so I'll tell you, one of the guys was Andre Davis, was a second-round draft pick, a wide receiver. And Lee Suggs, a running back.
Oh, of course, Lee Suggs, yeah.
Yeah, and Jim Pine, a center.
Jim Pine was the first pick in the expansion draft, right?
Yeah. So
wasn't that the Canton Civic Center?
Yeah, Jim Pine, P-Y-N-E, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. First pick of the expansion team.
Yeah, so it was very interesting. They had Michael Vick, of course, went to Virginia Tech, and Bruce Smith.
Well, that's pretty good right there.
Went through there.
That's two guys that are pretty good right there.
Yeah. So, and they had a lot of their, they were in a lot of championship games, like over the years, and a lot of bowl games. But does Ohio State have sort of like a shrine like that? I haven't been down to their football.
Oh, they got the grove of trees for every All-American they've ever had. They've got, yeah, you name it, they've got it. Although I don't know if the public's able to go into the Woody Hayes Athletic Complex, but they've really honored their ex-players at Ohio State, probably as well as anybody in the country.
Very cool.
Tell me where Virginia Tech is in Virginia.
Blacksburg.
Yeah, Blacksburg, Virginia. I had a business meeting down there, and it's really in the middle of nowhere. But I found out it's 270 miles from Washington, D.C. So, believe it or not, I was watching the news last night, and in Blacksburg, they carry the Washington, D.C. Sports station. They had a guy talking about, I didn't know who he was, and he said, yeah, I'm an ex-athlete, and I love the Midwest. You know, when I was with Indianapolis, and then he said, I love Cleveland. I said, who is this guy? It turns out it was DeQuell Jackson.
Oh, yeah. He was a good player.
And he had some great memories. He loved the Midwest. He loved Cleveland. And I was like, wow, you know, he had a lot of respect for Cleveland, so I just thought I'd pass that on as well.
All right, BP, great to hear from you. Drive safely, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Thanks,
okay,
BP.
BP in Pepper Pike, although he's not in Pepper Pike. But then how was I supposed to know that, D-Man? Help me here.
Yeah, I don't know that the Virginia Tech alum is distinguished as far as Browns go. You know, I mean, that's.
Well, DeQuell Jackson was pretty good.
Well, he wasn't Virginia Tech though, was he?
Oh,
no,
he's talking about Washington
Andre
TV.
Davis.
No, you're right. That's a good point.
I don't know, but it's cool that.
It is cool.
Bruce Smith is the guy I remember the most being from Virginia Tech.
Got about a minute.
Kind of
anything you want to spew on the Indians or anybody else here?
Well, pretty soon we'll find out. I hope MLB does it upright. I hope there are no Woj bombs to scoop MLB on the selections of the All-Stars, because this is a time where MLB needs to captivate and capture the attention of the nation, because football's on vacation, basketball is summer league.
Speaking of basketball,
take advantage of it.
How can these very smart people actually go through with the charade when they announce a guy is taken by a team and he's given a hat and you know and I know he's not going to play for that team? How is that possible? Anybody thinks that's a good idea?
I completely agree. DeAndre Hunter, number 4, wearing a Lakers lid when the Lakers had traded the pick to David Griffin's Pelicans, who in turn traded it to the Hawks.
Yeah.
And yet he's wearing a Lakers hat. It made no
that's
sense.
fine that they make trades, but it's a joke to do it the way they do it.
Correct.
All right, we got to go. I hate nights when the Indians don't play. I want them to play 9 nights a week.
I want them to play now. I can't wait to watch the next Indians game because I feel the tide is turning for this group.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it. Great job by the D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff. We'll see him next Thursday night. And when are you going to be on TAM? Tonight a little bit?
Maybe just a segment if Brenda and Grove will have me, but I want to stop by the Trivs Coat for Kids over at the Hilton Garden Inn in Twinsburg.
Excellent. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks to the D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff. Thanks to you for watching and listening. We'll see you on Monday. Dave Bacon takes over tomorrow night. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.